Thanks, Craig. So, hello, family. Hi, Unlimited Wisdom community and family. Hello, Sandy. Hi, Dustin. Hi, Melody, Eric, Fahad, now Mary. Great to have you guys on here. And today, what we're going to talk about is Dino. uh, oh my God, I cracked myself up. Uh, but the thing I want to share with everyone, and I keep wondering, what do I want to talk about? But then really sometimes what I want to talk about the most is the things that made the biggest difference to me. And I know that some of you have heard phrases like this is like, don't allow anybody or anything to rent space in your head. But really, it's like our brain is a terrible roommate. Our brain is a terrible roommate. And so it was like no one ever taught me this when I came up with the concept of Dino. So for those of you that don't know Dino, he's from the Flintstones, and of course he's a dinosaur. And but in the cartoon, the Flintstones, he acts like a dog, right? So some of you are aware of dogs, some dogs that are like this. It's like the amount of barking they do is just like it's like, man, it's just I was trying to think of a nice word, but the word that came to me was obnoxious, right? And so when you see Dino in any one of those cartoons and he's coming in and he's barking, it's like, rah, rah, and it's like, come on, you know? And so one of the things that is very, very bizarre is how many people, I think it's because maybe there's someone out there, I'm sure there is, but how many people just do not share all the little thoughts that are popping in their heads all the time? Hi, Deborah. Hi, Scott. And one of the things I think that we can do is if we all acknowledge, and again, we don't have to tell people the crazy thoughts that we have or just the straight out awful thoughts that we have. Because every time I talk about this kind of subject, it's amazing how many people send me a message going, thank you. Because if you're having thoughts that you know are just way, way, way out there, then it's pretty much impossible to share them. How many people know what I'm talking about? It's like, hi, Coach Bob. Hi, Shelly. So all of a sudden, I'll give you guys some funny ones where I really, really it came to my awareness. And it was from somebody else. So two of the people that I taught to do this business created a multi-billion dollar company in sales called ACN. They're Mike and Tony Kupas. They're identical twins. And we were traveling all over the world doing what we do. Building the empire is what we called it all the time. And so all of a sudden what happened is we were going down an escalator, going to baggage. Hi, Scott. And all of a sudden, Tony goes, so I could just put my arms on the railings of the escalator going down, and I could lift my feet up, and I could just push my feet like drop kicking this person in front of me in their shoulder blades. And then they would go down and take out everybody else on the escalator. And I looked at him, and he just had this smile on his face. And I'm going like, dude. And he's like, oh, don't tell me you don't have these kind of thoughts. Now, apparently, he had a relationship with his twin brother where twins could talk about this stuff. And it just became fascinated to me. And I hope you, hi, my son, thanks for getting on. And I hope you guys don't find it. I just want, maybe not everyone does this, right? So, hi, sweetheart, I miss you. And so I was talking about Dino and the thoughts that come in your head, right? And it's funny now that Matt dropped on here. When he was really really young, he would have conversations with Terry and I, and he would just straight out say, he's going, "Hey, listen, I don't know what's going to happen in my life, but I just want you to know that I'm a psychopath." And we're like, What? What do you mean?" And he's going, "Well, some of the stories and some of the books and some of the scripts that I want to create are really, really, really dark." See, and this is like stuff again that someone would never ever share with anyone. But when Tony and Mike Kupas and I were talking, we were talking about, have you ever sat across from somebody while you're eating and you're listening to them, and it can be a great conversation. And all of a sudden your thought pops into your head is that I could punch them right in the face. I could just or maybe throw a drink in their face. And the reason that I'm doing this video and I wanted to share this with you is if you it's not that you can, or maybe even it's possible to stop those thoughts and coming in your head. You just have to immediately, throw it aside. I just go, that's not true. But let me talk about stuff that are more like beat you up kind of stuff, right? So have any one of you had a deal and you get sort of an ache? It's weird, who knows how the human body works? Scientists still don't know, medical people still don't know, doctors don't know. But all of a sudden you get a very weird pain, right? And then your mind goes, cancer. And it's like right away you're going, me, this is what I do now because I understand this. I shouldn't listen to what my brain has to say. I just go, no, it's not. And I usually right behind it, usually with open speech, will go, I'm well and I'm whole. I'm well and I'm whole. And so it's to see these thoughts happen in our mind. And then I brought it up before with everyone about sort of the comments of you're just driving down the freeway, you even can be happy. You know what I mean? Maybe singing along to some music. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I could just easily, pull my car into the ditch and just run into this this ramp. And it's like, what is wrong with me? And then, of course, we have a lot of these voices that come out of our head that are like, what would be a nice word? But they're provoked. You know what I mean? So my lovely wife is in the background, and she just opens up her mouth, right? So it's like someone pulls in front of her, and she's like, "I just want to run this person right off the road." So I wanted to share with you guys some of this stuff because I know I've shared it before, but as we bring on a lot more people, me and Matt and Craig asked about it, but me and Matt are doing a bunch of stuff right now where there's not a doubt in my mind that there's going to be tens of thousands of members of Unlimited Wisdom. We just, hooked up with some old friends, Eric and Paul, and years ago they promoted me like crazy. It was crazy how many people they brought in, and they're just good marketers. So, we're going to create Unlimited Wisdom where, it's not only a really good affiliate program, but you guys can plug people in. But Matt's going to make it so it's going to be very, 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 very easy to share things that are already created that can allow people to be able to plug in. Because a lot of people will still have problems with their mindset, regardless of how incredible Matt creates AI upline or posting pilot, whatever, right? And so I was thinking about some thoughts, and I wanted to actually make this interactive. I know some of you don't like that, but I'd like some people to be courageous. I know I can count on Matt and my wife is some crazy thoughts that you could share with people where you know that you shouldn't listen to your brain, right? And one of them is like, I posted this in AI and said, listen, do you understand this concept? And it said the fastest way to tell people not to listen to themselves is when they have a thought of texting their ex. His head is going, I've never had that thought. But it was funny because I thought, wow, if I ever text my ex, it wouldn't be a good text. But long and forgotten. So yeah, Terry did cut her hair. Um, Coach Bob, where did this come from? Oh, where it came from is me wanting a lot of the daily wisdoms to be fun, be fun, make people aware, plus giving a point across. So what I think a lot of times that we do is if the thoughts, again, if the thoughts are super negative, that's very easy for us to understand those thoughts, right? You rebuke them, say that's not true. Stronger is he that is in me than he that's in the world. Come up with something to just go, that's not true. But it's the ones that are not so transparent, right? Where you're about ready to do something and they're like, this is too hard. I'm not technical. This is never going to happen. I'm stupid. I'm not good with technical stuff. I'll probably mess this up. You know, you're a freaking idiot. Are you guys understand? There's a lot of little ones that are in our heads all the time. Um, and how strong our brain is. So again, this is another subject I want to talk about probably on Friday. I'll back it up with this. But I know that a lot of people just don't stop sometimes and just think, or ponder would be a better word, but ponder on how powerful our minds really are. Especially with AI getting to where it is. And then people are like going, do you know how strong the human mind is? And it is crazy that AI came back and said this: your brain can take a 2-minute unanswered text and turn it into a Netflix documentary. And it's like, I used to always say to people all the time is Josh Zwagel is if anything that Josh is known for is unanswered responses. So you'll send it to him and he'll get distracted and then he just doesn't come back. So when I first started working with Josh, I sent him this text, is I said a no reply is still a reply. You guys agree with that? And it's like, especially if you're asking a question. It's like I sent, Coach Bob a text, and I go, listen, are we all right? I see he sees it, and then he doesn't respond. Now, of course, Coach Bob doesn't do that, but Josh does. You know what I mean? And it's like, so that's really, really powerful. So before I go any further, I definitely, I don't know if Terry knew that I was going to do this, but I definitely want to bring on Matt just to talk on the subject of, thoughts that come into your head that that you shouldn't have. Everyone laughs at my wife, and I love her. It's just like, man, my wife has got the worst bark ever. You know what I mean? So she'll say some stuff, and then you go, "Hey, did you really, really say that?" And she goes, "No, no, I never said anything to them." So Matt's still looking on how to turn on the volume, but
You can't hear me, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Barely.
Barely?
No, now we can hear you clear.
No, I think the remote one he's got is not coming through yet.
Yeah, it's
Well,
funny because
let Terry talk.
yeah, go ahead, mom.
Oh, does mine work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Terry's
Yeah,
work.
now I got it set up now.
Wait, did you hear that?
Gesundheit, Terry.
Excuse me.
Hey, mom, you can go first.
Oh, what am I supposed to be doing? Saying what I would do to people?
Yeah, because some people think it. You're very verbal.
Yeah. Um,
So tell people some of the thoughts that you have, if you don't mind,
oh, well, listen,
of how irritating people are to you.
Matt and I were talking a little bit about this on the car ride because of somebody that killed somebody, and I said, well, if somebody killed somebody, I think they should be killed the same exact way. Maybe with a little more torture would be my thing. Like cut one arm off, let him kind of bleed out a little bit. Cut the opposite leg off, cut his dick off, wrap him up in meat, and stick him to a tree where a bear will
Damn,
come.
there's a lot of detail.
Where a
Yeah.
bear will come. You know what I mean?
How
You
about
torture
that?
an animal, boy.
Yeah, how about that
Listen,
guy
I
in
would have.
How about that guy in Wyoming?
Yeah, I'd have no fuck. I'd run him over with the snowmobile. Then I'd turn around. I'd run him over 3 more times. Then I'd drag his ass to the bar. I'd get me a nice cold fucking beer. And then I would just torture him the whole fucking time. The whole time. Like with a sledgehammer, slam that foot, do it on his foot, and then do it on his hand. Yeah, cut off his fingers.
So Matt, because
That's
you
just
and
me,
I,
though.
yeah, Matt, because you've heard this your whole life, and I've heard this, more, yeah, 3/4 of my life. It's
Yeah,
like
I find it. I find it.
when we say, yeah, we're scared of
I
Terry.
was gonna make a joke, and I was gonna say, I, I'm like I find it weird that I thought I was a psychopath. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, I did. I just thought that just because of the stories I was coming up with. I'm like, I'm a weirdo.
Right.
As a kid, you always think
Who
there's
doesn't want to be
something
a
weird
weirdo?
about
Who
you.
wants to be normal? I love
Yeah,
being,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
So,
being a weirdo.
so for me, I don't really. This is gonna sound dumb, I'm sure, but it's like for me, I don't really like. The best thing that I could do is just stop thinking about a person.
Yeah.
It's like the most dangerous thing I could do to the person is to forget them, you know? And so
Wow.
like in a lot of ways, I've like let go of a lot of vindictiveness. And it's not that I don't have dark thoughts, but I'm like, what would be the best thing to do to this person? Forget their existence. I don't need them anymore. I don't need to move forward with them. I don't need to. And so it makes things super easy. But like having grown up and my wife has went through a lot of shit. So having grown up and watching her go through that and having to cut off family members or things along those lines that were toxic or bad, you really start to realize it's like, oh shit, you don't actually have to keep these people with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, really, your life could be better if that person that constantly
Right.
tells you you're not worth shit was not in your life and you forgot they existed.
Amen.
And it's like that sounds malicious, just at the same level as torturing somebody. If anything, it's almost worse because
Yeah.
Well, to make
depending
me
on
feel,
who it is,
to make
right?
me feel better, I'd like to have about a half an hour with Bill. That's
There you
all
go.
I'd fucking need. is half an hour.
Yeah. So in general, for me, I when I think of vindictive stuff, it's more just like getting over on somebody long term. You know what I mean? It's like someone screws you over, or someone doesn't do something that they're supposed to do or doesn't follow through, and then you just go, all right, just wait and see. You made the biggest mistake of your life.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm more in that realm now than in the realm of like make them pay. On the other end, do I think about and plot plans in my brain about shit? Absolutely. I'm like, if I did this, this, and this, and this, it would make their lives so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the energy and the effort would be like, it's like Beef. I love the show Beef on Netflix, but that's basically what we're talking about here. It's like you having almost like a level of vindictiveness that you destroy your life over. You
Yeah.
know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean? It's like,
obsessive. Yeah, it turns
yes.
into an obsession.
hmm
And
So,
Yeah.
so you don't, yeah, you don't want, yeah, you don't want to be obsessed. What was that thing that we watched earlier? There's somebody that said something on TV, and I was gonna say it on here, but I don't remember. It was like
was it on the?
the two stoners. You're not gonna get us to remember. But we were watching something on the Today Show, and somebody said something like super interesting, and I was going to share it with you guys. If I remember, I'll
Sure,
butt in and
sure.
share it. But let's let other people talk about their stuff. So
Yeah, because when people really, the phrase that I would say to people, and of course people don't like to hear this, but it's true, is like the things that just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Just because you think something, it doesn't mean it's true. And so, I just think the mind is just, I think it's incredible. I just think it's really, really incredible.
hmm
And it's very creative and you can do some wonderful things in your life and do wonderful things for people. And yet it's got these thoughts that keep popping up of self-harm or doing something like Matt said that uh, a lot of people have thoughts constantly, and what they do is they believe them and then they sabotage themselves. Whether it's going into action,
hmm
sometimes we just beat the hell out of ourselves to the point where we never go into action.
yeah,
I'm not worth it. I'm not
yeah.
deserving. I'm too busy. What a bullshit.
I watched a video the other day of this guy broke up with his girlfriend, and they must have been in their early 20s. And so she comes over and she's pissed, banging on his front door. And he's like, "Dude, you're crazy. I'm calling the cops." And before you know it, she's breaking the windows,
Oh, wow.
coming in, grabs his computer and his game console, stomps it, and he's recording the whole entire thing. And I'm like, "Great. She's just sitting here committing felonies repeatedly because she can't control her emotional output in a
Right.
very emotional situation." And that's what I'm talking about. She's doing permanent damage to her life
Yeah.
Yeah.
because she couldn't control her emotions and just take a step back for an hour and think about it. Think about what her response was going to be. And you definitely don't put yourself around toxic people because the moment she started to become upset, she's at the front door and she's like, "Please take me back." And he's like, "No, you're fucking crazy." So he's the one that knew exactly what to say to
Yeah.
her to get her to go even further than she probably was willing to go initially, not
Yeah.
giving her, him all of the blame, but some of it. And I see people do this shit all the time. There's a moment
Yeah.
in time in my life, Dad, that I remember, and I'll share this story. There's this guy that did landscaping for us in Montana for my parents at their house, and he did some shady shit. I forget what shady shit he did. Maybe you guys would remember.
No, I
It was like payment
remember.
stuff or whatever.
I remember. I
I think he
remember.
called me a bitch.
Oh, it was more personal.
No, no, no. Well, I thought that I thought he left something on the property, like a mess on the property without cleaning it up. Or was that
hmm
another time? That's when Terry was upset when they took a bunch of gravel and dirt and just left it on one side. And
Oh yeah, I
Kyle,
remember that.
Kyle even came out and said, "What the fuck is this?"
But no, to finish that story off, this dude was there with his wife, and my dad was like confronting him or whatever about what he had done, and the emotions got heated, and then I remember you walking back into the house, telling him to fuck off and just leave. Then you walked into the house and you're like, "I wanted to hit him so fucking bad because he was like in your face," and and you said to me and Kyle, and you're like, "But I knew if I hit him, he's falling backwards, his head hits the pavement, my fucking life is completely different." And so I just didn't hit him. And I thought to myself, damn, I'm proud of my dad. Because the reality is, for a guy too, a lot of men just lose their fucking shit in those moments, hit somebody, their head hits something it's not supposed to. Now you're going to jail for manslaughter because you couldn't control your emotions in a situation.
Right.
Like it's so important. Now, rewind 20 years, that dude would have been in the hospital, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
no doubt. But then a lot of people make up stuff. So even though you hit somebody, it was the person that put all the white rocks,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
white
yeah.
rocks in. And yeah, I don't remember where the dispute came from, but yeah, again, it's the
It got
thoughts.
heated and he was not, yeah. So that's all I remember. I was probably like
Thank you.
13 or something, but I was proud of you because I was like, you know, a lot of people might be, I was in martial arts at the time, so a lot of people might be like, man, I wish my dad would have just kicked his ass. But being in martial arts, the thing that you learned consistently is that you were one or two situations away from like a dire situation.
Yeah.
This is the way that human beings work. So even if you know martial arts and you start kicking someone's ass, the moment that they start feeling like they're losing and that animal instinct kicks in, now they're grabbing a broken bottle, they're grabbing something else to defend themselves or harm you. And now we're talking about permanent fucking damage to the rest of your life, all because he bumped into you at the bar. Like, are you serious? Calm down.
Yeah.
So I think in general about that stuff, and that's what I run through my brain a lot when I get pissed at people, is I'm going, what's the energy output?
How does this react to this react? It's like chess moves, you know what I mean? It's
And if
like
I could share, one more thing that I learned from therapy is that like if you don't have communication and you just allow yourself to think, you're going to be wrong a majority of the time
yeah.
about how people feel. So there's situations where even in my work life, since I've started working, where I've worked with somebody and actually been seriously pissed at them. And then I remember the saying, don't attribute something to maliciousness that could be contributed to incompetence. So the reality is some people are just out of their mind, incompetent, not thinking a lot about these things, and you're seeing it as malicious. They're just unaware. They're just not thinking the way that you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my dad brought up Josh earlier. Josh isn't consistently, as far as getting back to people goes, including myself, right? Which it would really be helpful with certain situations. Do I think he maliciously does that? No. I think he just subconsciously just doesn't take. There's like some people that just show up late consistently, right? And we all make excuses for them, but the reality is like you just tell them that the party's 15, 20 minutes before it actually
Right.
starts,
No
right?
shit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're aware that this person, you've known them for 30 years. They've never changed this part of themselves. We've
Right.
worked with Josh for a decade,
Oh, no.
8 years.
8 years. He's never not been that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, now that I'm working with him and need more consistent communication, more than we needed with MDC, then it's like, okay, I'll just accept that this is the pace that he likes to move at. I move at a faster pace, so I need to be in the left lane instead of the right lane. I gotta pass this guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way that it feels.
Yep.
Yeah.
You make decisions like that instead of
Yeah.
being on his ass and going, fucking move. You know what I
Right.
mean? If I'm gonna go further with the analogy,
Or
right?
or like mom sometimes does, push him in the ditch. You know what I mean?
But it's easy to do that. It's easy to make that decision. I'm sure all of us can relate. 'Cause
Totally.
the thing is we've all, I hope, made all of those mistakes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? We've made the decision where we've gone too far with an argument, or we've made the decision where we've said something or done something in the heat of the moment that we shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that communication is key. So you ask people, like I was saying with my therapist, it's like, stop thinking so much about what your wife's thinking, what your parents are thinking, what your friends are thinking. Ask them. Have
Yeah.
a conversation and communication, so then because the truth of the matter is your brain runs with shit. So if I allowed my brain to run with shit, I could be like, Josh is malicious. Josh doesn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
Josh doesn't this. And then guess what? My whole day is
Yeah.
dedicated to thinking about this dude that is not even thinking about me right now. He's doing something else.
That's a phrase that I remember years and years ago when one of my mentors said, if you knew how little people thought about you, you know what I mean? It's like most people are just busy doing their day to day and living moment to moment, making decisions. And yet we think about what people think about us when we know how seldom they do.
That was what was said on the Today Show. It was like something about other people. The moment you stop having other people, you accept that other people don't think about you. The moment that you allow yourself to truthfully accept that people are not thinking about you all the time, you don't have to impress these people, is the first moment you actually start living your life normally.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
the reality is we are like clay, and we can be shaped by our environment and by the people around us, or we can be
Totally.
shaped by ourselves. That's
Yep.
why I was saying to Lisa Marie, it's like you could do years of content and then say, I'm done, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yep.
Does not mean anything. You did it yourself, you decided to do it,
Yep.
you learn new skills, you accomplish new things. It just doesn't do it for you anymore. That doesn't mean that
You're
you
right.
Well, that one thing I think you
don't
posted
sunken
that.
cost it. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you posted that thing today that you know, it's one of the things that people don't realize by, people that have been coders and developers for years. You know what I mean? And one of the things about being a good developer and a good coder is they make good money. And now that AI is laying all these people off, I mean, is it a good time that you've been in the the pressure cooker and this stressor, and someone's all over you because someone's going to come out with it first, and we got to hurry up and do this before we get destroyed. It could be a very good time for some of these people to buy a piece of property, in a very inexpensive community and and just relax for a freaking while. I mean,
Well, I think
it's
that's
just
going to be
like,
the first big thing that like you hear any of these AI people talk, and the thing that scares them is not the financial system changing or the way that we do things. It's that mentality.
yeah,
It's that it's like what we need to work on more than anything is self-worth, because a lot of people tie their self-worth to their accomplishments and to what they achieved. And the reality is once AI starts achieving these things better than us, there won't be another version. It's like there's this joke. It's like we're all. I think it's from Fight Club. Actually, it's not a joke. It's like we were all
oh,
born in the worst time in history. We were born too soon to explore the universe, and we were born too late to explore the planet.
Wow.
So the planet's been explored, and the universe hasn't. So there's not a place you could go on this planet, including caves that they still find, right? That a human hasn't like been to. You know what I mean? And
right.
it's crazy because they'll go in these caves and they'll go, man, this is the first time we discovered the cave. Then they go in there and what's on the walls? Drawings.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been there before.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
I do think it's cool that we get to explore them too. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, of course, there's personal accomplishment is kind of what I'm talking and getting to. Is it's like
Right.
the reality is now it has to be, what can I do to feel good about myself moving forward? It was Ben Stiller that said that, by
Yeah.
the way.
Right.
Yeah, the moment he stopped thinking about being a comedian for everybody and being that person was the moment he was allowed to make things like Severance. Because
Yeah.
he's like, I can't put grief or getting a divorce or all these things into storytelling. People want to see me be funny.
Right.
And
Yep.
so it's like,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Terry, you got anything else to say?
Nope.
The other thing to stay on this train, the one thing to stay on this train of thought, and then we'll get to you guys too, is again just the way that we process information in our brain is again this whole concept about balance. It's like, when you think of things in your mind that question your happiness and you achieving what you were created to create, you got to question them. Because I remember the first time that people would constantly come up with this objection when I would talk to them. They're like, money doesn't buy happiness. We have a tendency of just regurgitating shit that somebody else said. You know what I mean? And it was funny. I was watching Mr. Wonderful was on Gutfeld last night, and this thing came up, right? And he holds up both his watches, and everybody always asks him why he's got two watches, and he goes, because I don't want to think about what time it is, and where one of my businesses are back in Europe. He goes, every time I go, I wonder what time it is. I'll show you. It's on this wrist. And then the local time is here. And it's like, and he was wearing this crazy sparkly jacket. And he goes, yeah, he said, do you realize that the only people that say money doesn't buy happiness is people that don't have it? He goes, you're looking at an individual that's been in both places multiple times. It's not that I was broke and then I made money. No, I was stupid and lost it, and then had to earn it again and then lost it again. And he says, I can tell you every time that money does have happiness. And they were talking about something that has to do with airplanes, right? And all of a sudden everyone looked at him and he goes, Greg said, hey, Mr. Wonderful, when's the last time that you flew on commercial planes? And he goes, listen, I'm a little older than some of you, but I remember having to sit and coach on a Pan Am plane. People are going, Pan Am, because there's a couple of young kids there. But he's going like, listen, yeah, he said, I was working with a guy. I was going to sell my company to him. And it was a toy company. And he said, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the guy said, well, listen, I don't have time to do this meeting with you. I think it's important that we do this meeting. What are you doing for the next couple of days? And he said, nothing. And he goes, great. He says, I'm going to Italy and we'll have, 12 hours to talk on the airplane. And right away, he said, he goes, you want to leave now? And he goes, yeah, I got to get on the airplane right now. And he goes, well, I need time to pack. And the guy looked at him and he goes, do you see me with a suitcase? And he goes, no. And he says, everything that I need in Italy, I can buy. Why in the hell would I be wanting to haul around a bunch of stuff? And he goes, yeah, but do you got time to go to the store? Why would I want to go to the store? There's people already shopping for me in Italy and they know what I want and they'll have it in the room when I get there. And Mr. Wonderful said, you all of a sudden see people that are thinking way in advance about stuff. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, what do you do with the clothes that they buy you when you're in Italy? He said, well, when I leave Italy, they put them in my house in Italy. You have a house in Italy? It's like, so I just thought it was really, really funny because they were making fun of him, and it's like, wow, you think different. But our minds do this thing again where we say, oh my God, I need to be balanced. Another bullshit thing. See, people will say this, you need to be balanced, but how many of you have gotten something done in your life and you were 100% okay with being focused for a while on one thing? See what I mean? It's like sometimes we need to focus on just one thing and go, hey, listen, just for a moment, I need to focus on this thing, get it completed, and I get done. So again, really ask yourself, is this true? All the thoughts that pop through your head, just ask, is this true? I'll share this last point with you and then we'll talk to some people. And so if you thought more of your mind, Matt was one of the first person I heard this from, and I know it's all the stuff that he does on himself, but Matt was the first person to give me the thought and the concept of just you're an observer of your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you. So because our brain is us, then whether the thoughts are good or bad, we have a tendency of blaming ourselves for that bad thought. What if you could just be the awareness of observing that thought and going, that's bullshit. That's not true. So now as an observer, look at your mind more like a tool that you can master. All right. So if it's just a tool that we have at our disposal and it's kicking out stuff, and some of the stuff we can use, some of the stuff we don't want to use, some of the stuff we can really use. So if you look at your thoughts more of observing them and use it as a tool, and again, you don't have to believe every thought. And some thoughts need to be discarded immediately. And some thoughts, if you're observing, should be sort of a, wow, that's interesting. I wonder if I need to put a little more imagination into that thought, a little more creation into that thought. Because I can guarantee all of you, we started out by saying some of the awful and very pathetic thoughts that you have, but how many thoughts have you guys had that you went, wow, and then you just ignored and moved on? what if that was the thought that turned everything around from you for you, right? So if it is a tool, don't feel like you lost out because I come from a place of abundance. Not only do I know I'm going to get new creative ideas, but I know that I can basically just ask the universe and just say, hey, if there was some thoughts that you gave me that I could have focused on and changed my life and other people's lives, bring it back. Bring it back. I'll be more conscious of that thought. How many have any one of you had that speak to you? Because we've all had sort of like thoughts, and then we go, well, there's usually stupid thoughts behind that, you know? So it's a great thought creation, and then you go, man, that would be awesome. And then the other thoughts go, yeah, but you don't have the money for that. You don't have the resources for that. You could never pull that off. So it was a very creative thought of something that we could do. And then what we did is like, I don't like doing live videos. I don't like my lighting. I don't, it's like I'm not going to share this message of this great idea because whether it's a great idea or not, it still was meant to be shared. Do you guys hear this? It's like some of the thoughts that we have that we should jump on a video or at least write down and share to the world is the reason that maybe certain thoughts come to us because somebody else needs them. And we just decided that we're not good enough, so we're just gonna throw that away. Most people are not fighting life. They're fighting the stories in their head about life. uh, with the crazy environment that we are in the world right now, and you see people come out and they're like, my life is over. This is happening. This is happening. This is happening. It's like, I know that mental illness is an awful place to be. But like Matt said, all of a sudden in a blink of an eye, because you're hearing the internet, you're hearing TV, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're the person that was chosen to make a difference in that bad way. Like, well, what I'll just do is I'll just wait for the CEO of this healthcare company to walk into his hotel room and I'll just shoot him in the back and kill him. It's like, I don't have the capability, and I'm glad I don't have the capability to actually go into action of a thought like that. Right? But we know people do that all the time. And you just sit there and go, what? I mean, yesterday on the news, it was crazy. It just showed this guy in Boston, and he had a machine gun, and he just started walking down the street shooting everything. And it's like, what is going on? Injured two people. And then, of course, when the cops showed up, he doesn't want to die. So he just laid on the ground and surrendered. And then we see these people that are, they're just walking down the street in New York. And, there was a guy that I heard pushed a 76-year-old man, just did that thing where we just talking about the escalator. But he took his hands while the old guy was going down the stairs to the subway and pushed him so hard in the back that when the old man hit, he killed him. And it's like they got it on video. And I'm like, okay, so what was going through his head? Well, couldn't we immediately just turn the tables and we see people that do amazing stuff and we go, what was going through their head, right? So I watched a clip yesterday. It was Special Olympics, right? And it had these kids running. And all of them, was barely running, the stuff that they had on them, right? And so these kids take off, and this one kid is way in the lead. And you hear the mom videotaping him, and he's going like, go, Scott. And he turned a 90-degree and came right to her and hugged her. The rest of the kids went by, and then he went right back out, and he ran this way. until he got back in the lane he was supposed to be. And then he turned and started running again. And she's like, she was freaking out because she said his name and she noticed him. And then she's sort of like, how do you tell him not to do that? Don't come give me a hug. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. What we'll do is if some of you want to share, we'll do that. But I hope thinking about thoughts and having this going, just know that be an observer, question the thoughts that you have. Don't believe what you think. You know what I mean? That's very difficult for people when you tell them saying, don't believe what you think. Okay, go ahead, Craig.
Sounds good. We got two hands up, and then I think we'll call it a day.
Sure.
Bob Johnson was up, but before Bob, we got Deborah Grady. So, Deborah, go ahead, unmute, and please share with us.
So first, I want to share some exciting news.
Awesome.
So let me see if I can pull it up again. Isn't it wonderful? You have to have glasses to see far away and up close. Well, I lost it. I had it right here. I was going to just show you this little quick video. So yesterday, while we were on the Zoom, at the very end, I got a message. I got a picture, a video of a little baby on his mother's chest, just born, my bonus granddaughter. So I became a great grandmother yesterday while we were on the Zoom. And yesterday also, it was born on a year ago, is when I had my stroke.
Wow.
I know. So it's my anniversary of my stroke and my first great-grandchild, bonus great-grandchild. It's my son's stepdaughter of 22 years. She's, like family. But so talking about things like that, most of you know the story with my daughter-in-law won't let me around my 22-year-old grandson or my daughter. So we were wondering how with the baby this is going to be. Not a word, not a word. So my son sends that picture, that little video. That's all my daughter and I get. So today we get these messages. My son is saying, did either of you tell Mary that I showed you a picture of the baby? My daughter goes, I just said, congratulations, he's beautiful. I go, not me, I know better. My son goes, well, she's pissed. I showed you a pic. I can't do nothing about it. I said, thank God it wasn't me this time. And then
Wow.
my daughter goes, oh my God, she's ridiculous. And he goes, it's crazy. She's flipping this out on me. And my daughter is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mike. I didn't know, or I wouldn't have texted that he's beautiful. And he goes, well, you should know anybody that says anything is taking away from her. You can't say anything. She says, I'm sending pictures without her ever being there. My daughter, now do you recognize this person? She's an effing asshole.
Wow.
Who does that sound like?
Sounds like Terry.
I said back, I go, both of you. I go, Michelle, I'm sure your anxiety right now is out of the roof. She'll get over it. And I said, Mike, this is on you. You showed the picture. You should know her better by now. I'm just saying, this is all on you.
Yeah.
So see, there you go with dynamics. And so what am I thinking today? I wake up and I'm like, Lord, please don't let me have to apologize and repent today.
Right.
Don't let me have any thoughts. I'm always repenting. So where do we go? We go to Old Navy. I walk in. There's the cutest little baby, little shorts and little baby clothes. And his father is a surfer. So we were all kidding at the shower. He's going to be born with a surfboard in his hand. Well, these are little surfer shorts. And my thought, I'm going, sucks to be you now, because now you're not getting no clothes for that baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, because what are you going to do? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And
Right.
then what did I do? What somebody taught me? Deborah, who's renting space in your head right now?
Yeah.
Your energy should be focused on you're here with your daughter and looking for something nice to wear, but you let that picture of the surfer shorts for a baby, just take me right away. And
Yeah, we have free will. So people that are in my life like that, all I ever did for them is continue to pray for them to have their heart
yeah,
softened and someday come around. And it's like,
well, you
it
have
just
to pray because that's mental illness. I mean, we can see
totally.
it's some form of mental illness. So we just pray only God can change, her heart, her words,
Yep.
and, and how she treats my son.
Yeah,
And
I would just
Well,
say
well,
too, it's crazy, Deborah, if you don't mind me saying something. It's just crazy because of someone who just had a kid a year ago to take a moment that should be so beautiful and
I
exciting for
know.
everybody and to make it about you or make it about everything else. Um, Man, that is some mental illness human behavior, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, she definitely, and
and
my,
it's all about control.
yeah, it really is,
It's all about
you
control.
know.
There's these people in their minds that, if anybody does anything, they didn't ask them first. You know what I mean? It's like, why didn't you ask permission first? And it's this thing of feeling out of control. And the
Right.
more they try to control stuff, the more the world tortures them.
Well, yeah, because my son got reprimanded at the baby shower. It became about me. I didn't want it to be about me, but because it was like, oh, great grandma Grady, 3Gs. And, I sell the Immunical, and G3 is the substance at the Immunical. So we're going, oh, G3, and so then she's the first time grandma, and nobody was going, oh, first time grandma. We're all talking about G3. So my son got in a lot of trouble for that.
Wow.
But like
Well,
I said, she is a good mother to James, and the my granddaughter that had the baby, I call her my granddaughter, but I don't really feel like she is because we never see each other. But
right.
so, but she, her husband is a professional surfer, and he taught my James at 19 years old, nonverbal autistic, how to surf.
Wow.
I mean, it was fascinating because I mean, scary because it's like you don't talk, you don't say anything. So what if you need help?
Well,
Whatever.
I'm sorry that you have to experience that, but thank you so much
Oh
for sharing
yeah,
that with
okay, well
us.
that's it. But yeah,
All
so
right. Love you.
love you, thanks.
Deborah,
Greg?
thank you very much. And let's go ahead and bring in Coach Bob because his hand is up. So, Coach Bob, why don't you go ahead, unmute yourself, and please share with us?
Hey, Robert, Craig, Terry, Matthew, Ezra. Hopefully, you're all doing well. Uh,
Hey,
you know
Bob.
what, Robert? Number one, I'd like you to thanks for bringing this up because I thought I was crazy. When these these things come through my head. You don't understand that everyone else is dealing with this too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you don't want
Yeah,
to
that
ask
was my
anyone.
first thoughts. My first thoughts when I was really, really young was that, like Matt, we had a great enough conversation or close enough to him where he would go, listen, I'm a psychopath. If I trusted anybody to talk to, I would probably have said the same thing. I just didn't have anybody, I didn't have anyone close enough to me to understand that.
Yeah, but you don't want to say something because then I don't know. I'd feel bad, because number one, you say something, you're thinking some bad things about another person, especially if it's in your family, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
say, "Well, I was thinking about hitting you with a hammer." It's like, holy, they're gonna stay away from you then, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
totally. Totally.
they're not gonna come by you anymore. So you can't really say that to them, and
No.
you never do that, but and it's funny how these come up like when you're driving or you're working. It's just something repetition where it's not that your brain's like. And the other thing is you think of when I'm like mowing the grass, I think of like bad things I've done to other people. You know what I mean too,
Yeah.
and how I can rectify that. But I mean that's gone. I mean that's done. But I just feel that I need to settle it, somehow. But
Well, again, that's our what if you've wronged somebody in the past, right? There's always this concept that I've heard, with, AA, any kind of, where people get addicted to alcohol or drugs. And because they're under that state of mind, they did some bad things to people, right? So there's a part of the 12 steps that tells them that they need to go back to the people they hurt and apologize for it, right? And I'm not saying yes or no to that because I'm just saying it really depends on the person. It really, really, really does because again, we're all unique and we go the extra mile. I am at the thought that once I realize that, for the world, that if there's this scale, you know what I mean? And it's always Lady Justice that's blindfolded, right? And it's like, okay, so I did some stuff that I'm not proud about, I'm not happy about. I did some things that I'm not, proud of. Then if there's any way I could redeem myself would be just, okay, I'm just going to start doing good and I'm gonna, do my very, very best to do good for people and go the extra mile and give, you know what I mean, to people to a place where I finally feel it's not like, well, I did so much good that these people that in my past don't need to be taken care of, but it's sort of like what Deborah was saying. You run into these people that it's impossible for you to apologize the right way. You know what I mean? It really is not a place where you could make amends because it's just at that period in time, it was that period in time. And then there's people that you couldn't track them down because you don't remember them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all these poor individuals that were yelling and hitting their spouse, and then I stepped in and knocked them out. I don't remember who any of
Well, yeah, like those, right? Yeah.
right. But I'm sure that so yeah, it's again, I believe that what a person should do is just say, listen, what I wasn't aware of observing my thoughts enough to be able to go, that's not true. Just stop that. Because I know why I did what I did. I did what I did because there is that phrase out there, there's no excuse for it, but hurt people hurt people. They just do. And so, I had a philosophy in my younger years where I'm going to fuck you, Bob, before you fuck me, because you're going to. That's not true.
No,
It's that mentality that got me serving time in a federal prison. So that's how the universe rectified that for me. It's like you can end up just constantly going back to this place. But thanks for sharing that.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that because it's when you do think when you're mowing the lawn and you got time for your mind to sort of just be out there, that happens for me as well. And you think of those thoughts. In my perception, it's like I still ask for forgiveness and say, listen, I'm sorry I hurt those people. I'm also sorry that I damaged a lot of things. When I was young, it was like you sort of see, these kids, and it's like, why would they all throw rocks through these windows on this house? All I can say,
We've all been there, Robert. I know.
why would someone steal a car and take the motor out of it? I don't know. There was a lot of things that, my mind went, and I'm not asking for everybody else to tell their whole awful story, but saying something about someone and then it ends up being a rumor, and then you find out it really, bullies them. Like, social media is like crazy to me. So, you hear these, the kids can't handle it to the point where they commit suicide for being bullied. And it's like, well, they basically didn't have anyone close enough that they felt they could talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of awful things that happen to people, we can't even in our mind go to the place that that person went to get bullied. You know what I mean? And again, why did they get bullied? Because they didn't stick up for themselves. That's not a reason to bully people.
No, no. But do you think a lot of parents or kids talk to the, when they have those
No,
ideas? I don't think they do. And I think
no.
it's an important thing to get out,
Especially when they're super dark. When they're super dark, I can't imagine a kid having a relationship with their parents. Thank God Matt and I have that. And his mom. Because Kyle will tell me silly stuff too. So people got to feel comfortable enough to know that when they tell you something, that you're not saying that they're wrong or you're judging them or they can't. The number one thought is people go stop thinking like that. If there's anything that should be erased from human language is stop thinking like that,
Yeah.
especially when you think like that. I talked yesterday and I just said that when I heard that one guy say, so Adam and Eve had two sons, Cain and Abel, and there's only four people on the planet, and one of them decided to kill his brother. It's like, so who else is responsible for killing 25% of the people on the planet? So it's like, people are just on this planet, and they're already having thoughts, and some thoughts can be that's bullshit, that's not true. But apparently Cain thought it was true. So he couldn't stop his thoughts enough that I got to take one of the only two brothers out on the planet. So thank you, Bob, for
Yeah.
sharing. That
Yeah.
that was
Thanks for
great.
bringing it up. I think it's important.
It is. It totally is. And for those of us that are still see, I was stopped by saying the word struggle. See, because if everyone that I know still are having thoughts like that, then is it a struggle or is it something like Matt said? Is it something very simply just to observe and just push away? Because, that was a really good thing that we went through with drifting. You know what I mean? And what I think those thoughts are, on the spiritual side, Bob, is that what a way to get you to feel bad about yourself so you don't do the creation that you really need to do. So you're out there mowing and you could be smiling, thinking of good things. And as soon as good thoughts come, bad thoughts come after it. And it's like, wow, you know what? I really feel like I'm going to make a big difference and help a lot of people and really do some great things for me and my family. You do know you hurt those people, right? That's the Bob. And you're going like, oh, yeah, I am a piece of shit. So you just took this creative idea of helping and impacting millions of people, and then you get dropped to your knees. You know what I mean? And it's like, I used to be that person. Shut the fuck up. Thank you, Bob, again. Craig, back to you.
All right. Thank you both. Thank you, Coach Bob, Deborah Grady, of course, Matt and Terry for sharing, and Robert. Wow, what a great daily wisdom. I mean, this is truly a daily wisdom. So thank you all so very much for being a part of this. There are not too many things in the chat, but if you want to save the chat, click the three dots in the meeting chat and then click on save chat. It'll download to your computer once we conclude. Rawr, 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 rawr. There he is. Good old Dino. Don't forget, tomorrow is Breakthroughs, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Friday, again, we're back here. Daily Wisdom, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Saturday, Ask Us Anything, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Sunday, Master's Mind, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Recess! And then we start the week right back over. If you want more on the schedule, go to the calendar section here at Unlimited Wisdom. Love and appreciate you all. Thank you so very much. Until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye-bye. I'm going to go ahead and click that unmute button so we can all say so long and have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Love you guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Scott.
Glad you made it there
See you,
safe, Terry.
Justin. See you,
Thank you,
Melanie.
everyone.
Thank
Matt.
you.
See you,
See
Eric.
y'all
Thanks,
later.
Coach Bob. I love you,
Yep.
sweetheart.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach Bob.
Love
Hostess
you.
with the mostest.
Bye.